Okay, here is a little bit of listening practice for you. Recently, in my B2 English class, we have been looking at the subjunctive for suggestions. Now, I'm not usually one to do a formal grammar lesson, but I figured why the heck not? So we use the subjunctive to give strong advice to a person, like strong formal advice. Remember, I'm teaching academic English to my B2 students, so it's not the casual English that you'll hear on the street. It's more like formal group discussion, English you need for talking to professors, English you need for academic conversations, English you might be able to use at work or in a professional environment. So, when we use a subjunctive, we use a given advice verb. That could be something like suggest, it could be recommend, encourage, advise, propose, advocate, insist, demand, require. Any of those are what we call the giving advice verbs, for instance. And the subjunctive is actually just the base form of a verb. So study is a subjunctive, not studies, study. Be is a subjunctive, not am, not is, not was, not were. Be, for example. And the subjunctive, as I said, is the base form. So generally the structure would be subject, verb, subject, subjunctive. The teacher, subject, recommended, there's a verb. Who, you, me, he, she. The teacher recommended we. And then we have the subjunctive study. The teacher recommended we study harder. Ronan recommended we drink beer before class, for example. And the verb drink, the verb study, is what we call the subjunctive. Some people might call it the base form of the verb. That also works. So, here's a sentence. I recommend that you read every day. I recommend that you read every day. That is strong advice. That is formal advice. If you're talking to your friend, you might say, have you thought about reading every day? Oh, I think you should read every day. Reading every day is a good idea. Why don't you read every day? But then, if you want to give the formal advice, this is the kind of English you would use. This would be very appropriate if you have to have one of those tough discussions with somebody. Imagine you're at work and you are an executive at work. You are a higher up at work. And you have to talk to one of your colleagues who's just not doing well enough. One of your colleagues who's just not pulling their weight. One of your colleagues who is just wasting your time. Any of those people. And you need to have a formal conversation with them. Well, you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say. You got to be careful how you say it. And so coming in with a very structured approach, using a structure like this, can help you. The teacher advised that she practice more. The teacher advised. So there's the past tense. So the recommending verb, recommend, suggest, encourage, propose, insist, that can be in the future, the past, the present, or the perfect tense. Doesn't matter. That is going to be like your time verb for when was something said. The teacher will advise that we do homework every day. Oh, I think the teacher will advise. I'm going to have a meeting with Pavel tomorrow. Pavel has been arriving late recently, so I will recommend that he arrive on time in future, and if he doesn't, we can his sorry motherfucking ass. Can a person, to can. There's a good verb, C-A-N, and that just means to fire. And so if Pavel gets canned, Pavel doesn't have a job. Pavel has been turning up for late work. So I'll recommend that Pavel arrive on time every day. I'll recommend. Now let's imagine I spoke to Pavel yesterday. Okay, everyone, I recommended that Pavel arrive on time every day. And guess what? That sorry sack of shit is late. So we're going to can his ass. He's going to get fired today. Yesterday, I recommended that Pavel arrive on time. So the recommend lets us know when we are talking, or the time part of this type of structure. So remember, the structure for this is very simple. I recommend, you recommend, somebody recommend. So we have the subject and we have a suggesting verb. After the suggesting verb, we can have that. But the word that is optional. It's entirely up to you. That would make it more formal. I recommend that Pavel arrive on time. I recommend Pavel arrive on time. Something like that will work. And I know it sounds weird that he arrive, that Pavel arrive, that Pavel go, that Pavel get canned, for example. Because maybe your instinct is to put an S on that verb. Gets canned, arrives on time. And generally speaking, in a non-formal environment, of course, that's what you would say. I would say that all the time. But if we want to be grammar Nazis, if we want to be the grammar police, that's technically the correct one. And so I made a little audio for you to listen to and for you to try and identify which sentence is correct. So there's 10 groups or 10 questions. There's going to be 1A and 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, all the way to 10A and 10B. In some of those, A is correct. In some of those, B is correct. And in some of those, both are correct. Your job is to identify which ones are grammatically correct, I guess. You got it? Let's just do the first one together. Number 1, A. The teacher suggested that students listen to English podcasts every day. B. The teacher suggested that students listened to English podcasts every day. Between those two sentences, which is correct? A or B? Here we go again. 1A. The teacher suggested that students listen to English podcasts every day. B. The teacher suggested that students listened to English podcasts every day. Did you hear the difference? A is correct and B is incorrect. Why? Well, in B, the teacher suggested that students listened. ED. That should be listen. That should be the base form of the verb. That verb listen needs to be the subjunctive. And the subjunctive is listen. Not to listen, not will listen, not has listened. Listen. The teacher suggested that students listen to English podcasts every day. Suggested is in the past tense. That's okay. The teacher will suggest that students listen to podcasts every day. Will suggest for future. The teacher always suggests that students listen to podcasts every day. Always, like a routine, something the teacher always does, consistently does, because listening to podcasts is a great way to learn English. But the teacher suggested that students listened to English podcasts every day. Unfortunately, that is grammatically incorrect. So do you get it? Do you get the difference between the correct and incorrect ones? Okay, so I made an activity for my students and I'm going to share that with you now. Like I said, there will be 10 questions. 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, all the way to 10A and 10B. And your job is to identify which ones are correct and which ones are correct, are incorrect, and maybe, in some of them, both are correct. After, I'll give you the answers. Are you ready? Have a quick listen. Here we go. 1A. The teacher suggested that students listen to English podcasts every day. B. The teacher suggested that students listened to English podcasts every day. 2A. My tutor recommended that I keep a vocabulary notebook. B. My tutor recommended I keep a vocabulary notebook. 3A. Our instructor proposed that we speak more English outside of class. B. Our instructor proposed that we'll speak more English outside of class. 4A. The program advisor recommended that students attend the pronunciation workshop. B. The program advisor recommended that students will attend the pronunciation workshop. 5A. My friend suggested I watched English movies without subtitles. B. My friend suggested that I watch English movies without subtitles. 6A. The teacher recommended that every student do the reading before class. B. The teacher recommended that every student does the reading before class. 7A. My classmate will probably suggest that we started a study group after class. B. My classmate will probably suggest that we start a study group after class. 8A. The instructor demanded that students record their speaking practice. B. The instructor demanded that students recorded their speaking practice. 9A. My tutor insists I spent more time listening to English news. B. My tutor insists I spend more time listening to English news. 10A. The teacher asked that learners make mistakes when practicing English. B. The teacher asked that learners make mistakes when practicing English. All right, my friends, welcome back. Now, you might want to go back and listen to those again, but we'll quickly go over some of the answers. So, number 1, we did already. So let's just go straight to number 2. My tutor recommended that I keep a vocabulary notebook. B. My tutor recommended I keep a vocabulary notebook. Both of those are correct. The only difference is the word that. That is missing in B, but that is optional. Number 3. Our instructor proposed that we speak more English outside of class. 3B. Our instructor proposed that we'll speak more English outside of class. Did you catch the difference there? Number 1, or 3A, is correct. That we speak. Because on 3B, it's that we'll speak. Future. And remember, we only use the subjunctive, so speak is correct. Number 4. 4A. The program advisor recommended that students attend the pronunciation workshop. 4B. The program advisor recommended that students will attend the pronunciation workshop. Now that's me talking at a rather quick pace, but let's listen a little more slowly. 4A. The program advisor recommended that students attend the pronunciation workshop. B. The program advisor recommended that students will attend the pronunciation workshop. So similar to number 3, will attend is incorrect. Will attend. Number 5A. My friend suggested I watched English movies without subtitles. B. My friend suggested that I watch English movies without subtitles. 5B is correct because in A, we're using watched, past tense. And you can't do that, folks. You can't do that, all right? Number 6. A. The teacher recommended that every student do the reading before class. B. The teacher recommended that every student does the reading before class. This is a tricky one. This is a very tricky one because my natural instinct was to say B is the correct answer. The teacher recommended that every student does the reading before class. However, for this to be grammatically correct, for this to be correct in an exam, A is the answer. The teacher recommended that every student do the reading before class. Because we're giving strong advice, because we're giving formal advice, because we are doing grammar, A is the correct one. Remember, this is strong, formal advice. And technically, the teacher recommended that every student do the reading before class is correct. However, if I'm chatting with my friends, I wouldn't say it. I would say the teacher recommended that every student does the reading before class. Casual English versus formal or official English. All right, number 7. My classmate will probably suggest that we started a study group after class. B. My classmate will probably suggest that we start a study group after class. The answer is B. Will probably suggest that we start. Whereas in A, will probably suggest that we started a study group after class. So again, we have our subject, my classmate. Suggesting verb, will probably suggest. And I threw in probably there just to make it a little more complex. So will probably suggest that. Subject, we start, not started. 8A. The instructor demanded that students record their speaking practice. B. The instructor demanded that students recorded their speaking practice. The answer is A. Students record. Number 9. My tutor insists that I spend more time listening to English news. B. My tutor insists that I spend more time listening to English news. Spent or spend? Which is the subjunctive? The answer is spend. That I spend more time listening to English news. 9B. And number 10. The teacher asked that learners make mistakes when practicing English. 10B. The teacher asked that learners made mistakes when practicing English. And the answer there is A, that learners make mistakes when practicing English. So, that is the subjunctive for suggestions. It's formal English. It's the type of English you'll get in a grammar book. It's the type of English that you should use if you want to pass a test. And it pains me to say it, but it is important to know this stuff, unfortunately, because sometimes you have to play the game. And today, the game is grammar. Today, the game is academic English. And as much as I love teaching casual English, slang, natural English, there is a place for this type of English. There is a place for formal, academic, professional English. And the English that you heard here, using the subjunctive for suggestions, is very useful for work, very useful for difficult conversations. You know, if you are going to go into a difficult conversation with someone, like let's imagine you have to talk to Pavel because Pavel keeps arriving late. And if you work for a big company, you do have to be careful what you say, because what you say can be interpreted differently. What you say can come back to bite you in the ass. And so if you go in and you talk in a very formal way, it will help you stay focused, it will help you sound professional, and it will help you remain less emotional and just more to the point. Okay, that is the subjunctive for suggestions. My name is Ronan. I hope you learnt something. Bye for now. Oh, and don't forget, if you actually did learn something and you actually did enjoy this, you can absolutely buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. And I say coffee because I don't drink anymore. Can you believe it? I'm off the sauce. Off the sauce. If a person says they're off the sauce, that just means they're not drinking. And I have been off the sauce since September 2024. Now, that's a big one. We'll talk about that another time. For now, though, if you want to support me, buy me a coffee, please. Chat soon. Bye.